today I am going to make something Tater has been asking for me to make for a while, and that is cinnamon raisin bread. It's one of his favorites, and I'm hoping that maybe I can have this done before he gets home today and we can have it with coffee. Nothing is better than sitting around, catching up on your day, and having a cup of coffee and a nice warm of fresh made bread. So I'm going to get down my hard red wheat. I like to make bread with that, and it's going to be a hodgepodge of recipes. So y'all bear with me. I've never made this, so I'm using a couple different recipes that I've seen that had a couple different aspects that I liked. So I am going to make my regular bread recipe. Go ahead and get my measuring cup, and with that we need 2 cups of warm water. So I'm going to get 2 cups of warm water going, and then we're going to go ahead and get our wheat grinding. So just a minute. Let our water warm up, and I can go ahead and measure out some of my grains and get that grinding as well. So if you have a cinnamon raisin cinnamon raisin bread recipe that you use, please share it with us. We would love to try it out. I haven't made bread in quite a while because we've been doing the event and then with soccer. So I want to get back in the groove of spending time in the kitchen, as well as making sure I schedule time to work in the garden daily, and I have not quite accomplished that yet. So I am grinding up 4 cups of grains, and we'll see what that gives us. I'm going to try to go ahead and make 2 loaves so we can have 1 loaf fresh, and I'll stick 1 in the refrigerator. So I'm going to grind this, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so we've got our grains, we've got our warm water. With 2 cups of warm water, I am going to do 4 teaspoons of yeast. So I get my yeast from Azure. I like to buy it in bulk, and I just keep it in the freezer and pull it out when I need it. So I'm going to do 4 teaspoons to 2 cups of warm water, and then I like to go ahead and add, I left the freezer door open, I like to go ahead and add in my sweetener as well. So I use honey as my sweetener, and then I let the honey, the water, and the yeast sit to bloom. And bloom just means where it gets all bubbly and fermenty looking, and it rises up, and then you know your yeast is good and you're ready to use it. So we're going to use 2 tablespoons of honey. So I'm going to put that in. And I should have got a bigger cup, but living on the edge here a little. And then I'm going to mix this all together, and I'm going to let it sit. While I let it sit, I will go ahead and get my dry ingredients mixed together. So I'm just going to mix this together real good. Get all that honey off my spoon. We don't want to lose an ounce of that. And if there's another sweetener you would rather use, yes, you can use a different sweetener. You don't have to use honey for your bread at all. So let me grab, I'm going to go over here and grab a whisk, which is something I should have already done. I don't have my stuff together today, y'all. What is wrong with me? I guess I'm so out of the groove, I need to get back in it. Okay, there we go. Mixed together. We're going to sit this just off to the side, out of the way. Then I'm going to get me a big bowl. Under the cabinet. There we go. So now we need to get our dry ingredients together. And for our dry ingredients, I'm gonna start with my freshly ground flour. I've got myself a mess, just nothing unusual. Okay, set the lid out the way. I'm gonna start with a cup of flour in to my big bowl, and then I'm gonna do 4 teaspoons of salt. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not. We're doing 2 loaves, so just keep that in mind. Okay, 4 teaspoons of salt. I'm gonna mix that around. Make sure I don't have any clumps of salt. We use Redmond's real salt. I ordered that through Azure Standard as well. And I buy it in bulk. My grains I can get from Azure Standard. It just depends on where I'm at with my ordering with Azure versus Bread Becker's. I like both of them to get my grains from. So either one. But we order most of our things from Azure now. So we have our salt, we have our flour as our dry ingredients mixed, but now we need to add in the ingredients that are going to make this more cinnamon raisin bread. So I need to get my cinnamon and my nutmeg. So I'm going to grab cinnamon and nutmeg. Okay, so now we're going to add in 1.5 tablespoons of cinnamon. That sounds like a lot. Remember, we are making 2 loaves. I'm having to say this to myself, not just to y'all, because I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. Okay, 1.5 tablespoons of cinnamon, and now we're going to do 2 teaspoons of nutmeg. Okay, we're going to mix that around and make sure it's distributed evenly throughout this. Okay, and then our raisin, I'm going to add in 1.5 cups of raisins to my flour. I'm going to go ahead and add this in so it can be mixed in and distributed evenly. And no, I didn't get organic raisins, y'all. Okay, 1.5 cups of raisins added in. I just used the Sun-Maid, what we've always grew up on eating. And then I'm going to mix that in. So my yeast is bubbling and foamy looking and bloomed and ready to be added in. I'll show you what it looks like if I can. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to sit it down so I can show you. Oh. You can see it's bubbly, it's bloomed, it's kind of jiggly, like ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pour this in. And then I'm going to start mixing this. So let's move some things out the way and get y'all over here where you can see what I am doing. I will slowly add in more flour. But what I do need to add in that I've almost forgot is my fats. So I need 2 tablespoons of olive oil. You can use any oil of your choice. So whatever you would like to use is what you can use for this. So I'm going to clean some of this stuff out my way. I'm going to grab my olive oil because I almost forgot to add that. That is an important step. I'd gotten the coconut oil out because I was looking at another recipe, and then I decided against that. So we're going to do 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So this is not, where did I sit it? Yeah. This is a half one, so I'm going to do 4 of these. All right. And then I'm going to start mixing this around. Just try to get all of the flour wet to start with. Eventually, I will not be using this whisk. But as I do this, I'm going to add in some flour. And then we need to make sure we have an area that we can put the dough out to knead it as well. So let me clean up an area. Okay, so I took a minute, got my counter space cleaned up, but I also got you set up so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So this is sat for a little bit and you can see that it's definitely thickened, but it's time to add in more flour. So I'm going to add in more flour. And I'm going to go ahead and get some ready to add again. And I'm going to go ahead and put some out for when I start kneading this. It's not going to take long for you to see that it is too hard to mix with a spatula, and I am fixing to start mixing by hand. It smells amazing, y'all. As you can see, we're to the point where we're not using a whisk, I said a spatula, a whisk any longer. We need to start using our hands. So I'm just going to fold this flour in. You want to do this and add flour until it's a dough-like consistency. But remember, if you're using white flour versus whole wheat flour, the amount of flour you use and the texture of your dough is going to be differently. Also, from one home to the next and from one day to the next, your dough and the amount of flour that you need is going to be different depending on the humidity and the temperature of your home. That plays a role in what your ingredient amount is going to be with flour. So when you see numbers for a bread recipe, like those help give you an idea. But sometimes it can be way off. You can use way more or a lot less than what it calls for. So my dough is starting to stick together. It's not completely saturated and wet, and it's getting hard to fold in the bowl. So I'm going to dump it out. I'm going to clean the rest of this out of my bowl and add to my dough. And you can see it's still sticking to my hands. Your dough for whole wheat, fresh ground, fresh milled is going to be a wetter, stickier consistency than with your store-bought flours. They will be a lot drier, so keep that in mind as well. I know my dough is ready when I can push it in and it springs back on me. That means that the glutens have all been stretched and activated and it's ready for its rise. And I will show you what that spring back looks like. When my dough starts sticking, I add a little more flour. And we are going to have to probably grind some more wheat. That's okay. Fold, mash, and pull. That's what I'm doing. Fold, mash, and pull. And with my short self, I have to get up on my tippy toes. But I'm folding it, mashing it down, rolling it out, folding it over, mashing it, rolling it, pushing down on it, and folding it back in. That way all the glutens can be activated in the bread, in the dough. And remember, each person's technique is different. Don't get upset if you make bread and you don't make it like the person you're watching do it. That's okay. We all have techniques that we've picked up, that we've found that works for us. And as you make bread, you'll find little things that you do differently than other people as well. So we are starting to get more dough-like, not so much sticking. Using a raisin there. Let's get him back in. So in a minute we're going to I'm going to use my same bowl that I started mixing this all together in. I'm going to grease this bowl and I'm going to put my dough in it and let it rise. I'm going to let it rise for 60 minutes. And then I will punch it down and let it do a second rise for anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. While it's doing its second rise, I can go ahead and let my oven preheat and get ready to bake this. So I'm going to let this rest just for a second and see where we're at with the kneading and how much more we have to go. And while I let it rest for a minute, I can go ahead and gather up all my dirty dishes and go ahead and get them to the sink so they can be washed. Can go ahead and lightly grease my bowl. Let it wipe it down. And I don't know how many of y'all have been watching me for any cooking videos, but I am a very messy cook. So I will have a huge mess to clean up. So my bowl is greased all the way around, all the way up the sides and the top ring. It's ready to go. So I'm going to push on my bread and see if it has any bounce back. So it does have some bounce back, but not quite like I would like. I'm going to knead it a little more. Another way you can test your bread is the window pane test. So I can show you that as well. A little bit of flour down. Don't want to put too much when you start getting to this point where it's starting to activate the glutens, because you don't want to add too much flour to it and it'll change the consistency. And this is a workout, y'all. I've done this with 8 loaves before and I was like, I can't do 8 loaves together again. Trying to knead 8 loaves at one time was a massive job. So let's see if I can show you the window pane test. So I just pull off a little piece. I'm going to get a little bit of flour on my hands so it doesn't stick to me. And then I just slowly pull this apart. And as I'm pulling, it's getting thinner and thinner. And then I'm going to see if I can see through it. But if it rips, then I know the glutens are not activated. Oh, I'm not even showing y'all. My goodness. I'm looking away. Okay. So it ripped. Not quite ready. It's getting there. You can see it's almost there, but not quite. So I'll knead it some more. Try to get all of this dough that's sticking on the counter. I'm rolling and folding. A little more flour on the counter. Okay. So when I push on my bread, I want to see it bounce back. So can you see that bouncing back? It's rising back up. Let's try another window pane test. Roll it up into a ball, smash it down flat. And it's kind of hard to do with the raisins in it, but slowly start pulling it apart and thinning it out. As you thin it, you should be able to start seeing through it like a window pane. Can you see that where it's thinning apart? It's kind of hard to do with wheat because it's so dark, but it's thinning out and you can see through it. When you're using white flour, you can really see it really well. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna say this is ready. When I push it, it's bouncing back really well. Let me see if I can show you that. It is popping right back up. The indentation is almost gone. You can see that come right back up. It's hard to tell on the camera. So I'm gonna flip my dough around in here. Both sides are covered with the oil. And then I'm gonna stick a warm, damp cloth over the top. I'm gonna sit it to the side, not under this AC vent that's right here. I'm gonna move it over to the other side of the room by the stove and let it sit for an hour, and then we'll be back. Okay, y'all, it has been an hour since we let our bread or our dough sit and rise and proof. And so you can see it's definitely risen. Look at that. It is squishy and ready. So now I'm gonna punch this down, and I'm gonna I've got my 2 bread pans out for 2 loaves. I'm gonna put a little bit of flour down on my counter. I've got my oil ready. I'm actually prepared this time in a paper towel so I can grease my pans. And then I am going to just punch my dough down, knead it some, and divide it into 2 loaves. So we're doing just pretty much the same technique as last time. We're gonna move our bowl out the way and get our dough ready. So just kneading our dough and getting it ready for our second rise. Our second rise should not take as long. And y'all, praise the Lord, it is raining outside. We have not had rain in so long. My laundry is on the line getting rained on, but I don't even care. We've got rain. It'll be okay. And no, I don't own a dryer. I just hang dry everything. I do have a hanging laundry system in the house, and we did a video on that. So if I wasn't dealing with dough, I could run out there, grab the clothes, bring it all in. But a bunch of it is Waylon's sheets and blankets where he just got back from Bible school. So it would kind of be too heavy to put on the line. This is a tight dough with this wheat. My raisins are falling out. I'm gonna spread my dough out and just roll it and fold it back in on itself. I'm going to do that again, spread my dough out. As you can see, I'm doing, spreading it out. And then I just fold it. If my raisins fall out, I'm just picking them up. I'm just folding my dough back in on itself. That's all I'm doing. And then kneading it. Pushing it down, rolling it, stretching it, folding it back in. That's all I'm doing. And it doesn't take as much the second time to knead your dough to get it ready for its second rise. And I test it the same way as I did the first time. Window pane, and to see if it's got that bounce, see if it's springy. And you can see, I don't know if y'all can see, but when I push it, it just comes right back. You can see that indentation leaving. It pushes right back. So hard to tell on the camera, but you just want, when you push it, you can see your dough bounce back. And then you can take a little piece just like we did last time. I'm trying to get some without the raisin, as many raisins, and it's kind of hard, the raisins make it where it tears so easy. And I just keep pushing and stretching and pulling till my dough gets so thin that I can see through it without it ripping. See how much my dough can stretch before it rips? It just gets thinner and thinner. That's when you know your glutens are good and activated. It is super stretchy. That's what you want, is your dough to be have elasticity. So our dough can now be divided into 2 loaves. We can grease our pan, and we're going to let it rise for another 30 minutes. So let's get some oil in our pans. I lightly grease these, and I will set this near the stove for its second rise while my stove is heating up. So I'm just greasing my pans down. I just wipe every corner. Try not to have a bunch of excess oil in there. And then I just divide my dough in 2. If you want to be specific, super specific, you can get your scale out and make sure that you actually get the same size loaf for each pan. So you can do it that way, or you can do it just by looking at it. I normally do it just by looking at it, but I'm curious. So this is 6.1 pounds of dough is what this is. Get this into as good of a ball as I can, and then I'm just going to cut it in half, and we'll see how close we are. 1 pound 10 ounces, 1 pound 12 ounces, not bad. So now I'm just going to shape my dough into like a roll. so it fits my pan. I pinched together the back sides and the ends. Had some creases I don't want in it, so I'm going to reshape it. Okay, make sure my ends are pinched together. Make sure all my raisins are in here. I'm going to make sure my loaf is an even shape. Okay, loaf 1 into the pan. Same thing for loaf 2. I'm just going to shape it. Make sure it looks just like I want it to. This one's going to have some creases in it. It's ready to go. I put the creases on the bottom, make sure they're pinched together so my loaf doesn't bust open. And it's okay if it does. So now I just stick it in my pan. I got 2 loaves of bread in 1 pan, and it's ready to go. So now I'm gonna go sit these over by the oven while it is preheating, and I cook mine at 350. You can cook it at whatever you like, and I cook it at 350 for about 30 to 45 minutes, just depending. It just depends on the weather of how well this rises. So it is super humid. It is raining right now, so that's gonna play a role in how this bread rises and cooks. So I'm gonna go let this rise for another 30 to 40 minutes, and then I'll bring you back. We'll stick it in the oven, and you'll get to see us take it out and cut a slice and taste it. Okay, so I forgot to bring y'all along. We have 10 minutes left, and we'll take a peek, which is something you don't normally want to do. But look at that beautiful, gorgeous bread. I just poured me a cup of coffee that's cooling, and we're gonna have coffee and try our cinnamon raisin bread in 10 minutes. All right, it's time to take the bread out. Let's see what it looks like. Loaf 1, loaf number 2. Look at that. It smells amazing. So now I'm gonna get them out so they can cool, or I can at least handle them and cut a slice for us to try. Okay, perfect timing. I took it out of the oven. Tater just walked in the door, so now he's going to slice a piece, and we're gonna try it.
Kind of hard to cut on this.
It needs to go on a plate, huh? I think I'm gonna be a cake. I feel like it needed to rise a little more. What do you think? Is it sweet enough? Stop.
That's good. That's good.
Gabby, you want to try? I bet it would be good with like some icing drizzled on it. It turned out really good. Look at that, y'all. Nice squishy loaf. It's got air pockets in it, just like you want to see. Now for the cup of coffee to go with it. I say this was a success.
That's good.
Alright, y'all, that's going to be it for this video. We got a surprise for Tater when he come home, and apparently he likes it, which is what I was hoping for. So now I don't have to buy cinnamon raisin bread anymore from the store. I can just make it myself, and it'll be a healthier version with honey and with our whole wheat. We grind ourselves. So if you don't know how to make bread, I encourage you to just keep trying. Like, it took me forever to get it. And just remember, like, everybody's recipes are different and everybody's techniques are different. So don't get discouraged if your bread does not come out right the first time or the 50th time. Just keep trying.
Yep.
So, what do you have to say?
It's good. I'm not sure if I should keep eating or let you talk.
You can keep eating. It's fine. All right, y'all. We'll see you on the next video. And just remember, y'all keep living like your ancestors did.